All right, perfect. So welcome everybody to Rotessa. We've got brought to you by Tanya's Bookkeepers Bootcamp. So hosted by myself, Tanya Hills. For those of you who don't know me, although I think I recognize all the names on here, most of them anyway, I am a certified professional bookkeeper, founder of Cloud Bookkeeping Services and Tanya's Bookkeepers Bootcamp. A little bit about me. I'm not going to go through all of this. There's too much to go through. You are all capable of reading. However, just some recent accolades is I was awarded the IPBC 2019 Professional Leader of the Year, which was the first year that they had given that out as well. Bookkeepers Bootcamp qualified for IPBC Continuing Education credits in 2018, which is a really big deal, something that we're very proud of. I was the Into a Global Firm of the Future for 2018, the Canadian runner-up for 2017, Practice Ignition's Top 50 Women in Accounting 2018 and 2019, and the 2018 Inspire Bookkeeper Award winner and a Top 21 Influencer in the Canadian bookkeeping world for 2018. Insightful Accountant Top 100 Pro Advisors 2018-2019, and again, a little bit more. You guys can read it if you're interested. So basically, that is it for me. We have Cody from Rotessa who is going to take over and start sharing his screen and going to be able to do a dive, like a demo, a dive in. If there's any questions, please put the questions in the Q&A. It's easier for us to monitor the questions in the Q&A versus chat because we can actually tick off when we've been able to answer them. And Rotessa, for anybody who knows me, who's heard me speak about it, I love Rotessa. They have helped me keep going with zero headache, zero AR, essentially everything for the last 4 years up and running. I've been, a huge fan of theirs, and they've kept me going strong even through the pandemic because the money is coming out of clients' bank accounts. They tend to feel that this is something they have to make sure the money is there for, rather than allowing the client, sending them an invoice and having them pay us. Then they get to choose when they pay. So that's kept everything running smoothly. I took 2 clients off of the PAD agreement. One has been put back on. They were only off for a month. The other one will be going back on again now. And otherwise, we had 0 interruptions due to COVID. With the payments, which has been beautiful. So just had to throw all of that out there. So Cody, if you...
Sorry, there was a little bit of lag on my side here.
That's okay. Everybody's working from home, so these days still, and so I think the internet is, or most people, so there's more people on the internet than usual, so I think it's still a little lagging, so.
Yeah, it's all good. Yeah, so yeah, thanks Tanya for that introduction. I'm excited to be here with you and doing this webinar. We had the chat, I guess 2 Fridays ago now with
on the cloud.
Yep. Yeah, and that was a lot of fun. So it was kind of my warm up to be able to do this with you guys. So yeah, I work at Rotessa. Rotessa is a payments company. We deal with pre-authorized debits, as we call it in Canada. You might hear the term EFT. In the States, they call it ACH. So we do operate in both Canada and the US. But as we were talking about earlier, we're located in Manitoba, out of Steinbach. So we're small town folks. We wanted a simple payment solution, so we've built it. And yeah, I've been with Rotessa now for 2.5 years. And I'm kind of the lead on the partnership program with accountants and bookkeepers. So that's why I'm hanging out with Tanya and all of you. I love getting into the nitty gritty of the workflow and our integrations with QuickBooks Online and Xero and all that kind of stuff. So I'll show you all of that today. I'll kind of just do a standard kind of demo of Rotessa, show you how it works. If you have any questions, I guess you can filter those through to Tanya. She'll help me moderate that. And yeah, I'll kind of do different sections, and at the end of those sections, maybe we can hit on any questions from that piece, if that works for you guys. So yeah, I'll start at the start. So this is, excuse me, I don't have COVID. I just have a cough right now. I think it's the spring allergies coming. So yeah, this is the initial dashboard when you log into Rotessa. Some of this information will make more sense when you start using it or understand how it works. But essentially, it's just a snapshot of some of your information. So number of customers, number of transactions, some stuff that's coming in, stuff that's been declined. There's a 7-day window or a 30-day window that you can toggle between. And there's another little chart that shows you any upcoming settlements. Settlements is basically the word we use to talk about the money that's coming into your account. So often that's the thing people want to know is when they're going to get paid. In Rotessa, pretty much everything derives from the customers page. So you add your customers in here, you schedule your transactions from here, and there's even a little bit of reporting on the customer level here. So the first thing I'm going to talk about, obviously if you're new to Rotessa, you won't have your customers. So there's a few different ways to get customers into Rotessa, and that's really kind of the first step. So the easiest way is to just add a customer manually. So you can go to the add customer, manually enter a customer, and then just type in their name, email, and if you have their bank information, you can do that already as well. So for people who have existing PAD agreements, you can totally use those. You don't have to use Rotessa specific PAD agreements. So you can just add in the customer. I'll just add Tanya here as a customer. And I'm actually just going to leave this bank information blank right now because I don't have a PAD from Tanya. So I'm going to add that in and show you what that looks like. So a new customer gets added. You have their name, email, and you have an incomplete status on that person, which means you can't schedule a transaction yet because you don't have their bank information. So I'll get to the authorization step in a second, but I'll show you kind of the two other ways to add customers next. So I know a lot of you are probably QuickBooks Online users or maybe Xero users. So we do have an integration with both of those apps. So if you go to the Admin tab and then Integrations, you can connect your account to the one that you use. So I'm going to connect mine to QuickBooks just for this example. They really work pretty much the exact same way. The user experience really doesn't change from integration to integration. So it'll ask you to connect your account. This is pretty standard. If you guys have connected to other apps before, you'll be familiar with this process. And then it's going to go directly actually to the customer import page. So from here, essentially now that I'm connected to QuickBooks, what Rotessa is doing is it's basically taking a look into QuickBooks and seeing all the customers I have there. You can see I have a total of 46 customers. 43 of them I've already connected to Rotessa, and 3 of them are not. So Rotessa doesn't automatically just dump all those customers in from QuickBooks Online because maybe you don't want all of your QuickBooks customers running through Rotessa. We totally get that. So you have the ability to select the ones you want. So you can select by the selection here, you can either do one at a time and just import it, or you can select multiple. You can see the status there says ready to import, which kind of indicates they're not yet in Rotessa. And all the ones who already have a connected status to show that they have been imported already. So I'm just going to grab these 2 customers here and import them. And by default, it's going to go to the invoices step, which I'll get back to later on. For now, I'll just go back to the customers page here and show you that those 2 customers have been added. And we actually add a little QuickBooks logo there to let you know that they came in through the app. And then they're actually integrated already, and that connection is established, so you don't have to fuss about that later on. And then the final way to add customers is actually through a CSV import. So in our admin settings, you can also go to imports and exports. You can come to the import and export page, hit import, CSV, and then customers. And Rotessa has a customer import template that you can download. It's a CSV file that you can put into either Excel or Sheets. So I've actually made one already. So these are the column headings that it gives you: name, custom identifier, which in most cases is the same as the name, and then the bank information and the email for the customer. There's some additional fields here that aren't required, but if you want to add that stuff to Rotessa, you can as well. So this kind of situation would be if you have a lot of customers already on PADs. So we've had this situation with like daycares and fitness centers who are maybe switching from a bank or something like that. They're going to just populate all these customers out at once and then upload them. It just saves them a lot of time manually entering customers. And they're doing it this way probably because they don't use QuickBooks Online or they don't use Xero or something like that. So when you have your customers in there, you can just download that as a CSV, go back to Rotessa, drag and drop that file in there, load it up, and then you can see all the customers get loaded. And I purposefully made an error for this customer to show you that if you have some issues, like I made the transit number the wrong length, it should actually be 5 characters. So there's little explanations of why maybe it didn't upload properly, and it won't let you select that customer. All these other ones, it'll let you select. So I can select those, import them into Rotessa, and it'll take me back to the original screen, but we can go back to the customers page. And you can see here that they've been imported and they actually have a complete status on them because they already had bank information. So that's the way to get the customer into Rotessa. And the next step is all about authorizations, which I'll explain next. But is there any questions that have come up about just getting the customer into Rotessa?
Well, there is a little one that I'd like to answer part now, and then we can get into the other part later. So yeah, so Deb's asked, so using CSV would allow desktop users to use Rotessa. So the short answer is yes, absolutely. You do not have to use any software that's integrated. And there are workarounds. I personally do not have my QBO connected to Rotessa just because of the way I use it. Because that integration hadn't always been there. And again, using it for 4 years, I found a workaround. So once we get to that point, if Cody doesn't go in and describe how it is that I use that, I will be able to do that. So that way you can see the versatility of it. You've got their bank account, an agreement, and an invoice sitting anywhere, you can use Rotessa. So so we'll get into that part, but short answer for now, yes. And we'll get into the hows after.
Yeah, no, that's good. So in terms of authorization, so obviously pre-authorized debits or ACH, it's really the same. What you have to do is get an agreement from the customer whose bank account you're debiting that gives you permission to do that. So you can either, like I said before, use an existing PAD agreement that you already have with that customer. You can always go to Payments Canada and figure out how to format your own. If you want to make your own custom PAD agreement, you just kind of have to follow the rules on that. Rotessa, though, provides templates and formats and just tries to make that really easy for you so you don't have to do all the research of how to make a PAD agreement.
Sorry, Cody, can I just jump in here? What I will do, we actually do in Bootcamp, we do provide the PAD agreement. I will provide that. I will send a link out to it because I've already done the research with the Canadian Payment Association. This is the one that I had been using historically. I'm now starting to use yours, but I will send that one out, a link in Google Docs. All you will have to do is make sure that you download and save a copy, but I will provide that with that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It'll be logoed to, I think it's just a general logo, so you'll have to do a little bit of editing for your company, obviously, but yeah, so I'll provide that out.
Yeah. So what we encourage people to do is get what we call an open authorization agreement. And really that just makes it so that you only have to get one agreement from your customer to debit their bank account for all future charges. So whether that's going to be somebody who's on fixed payment plan. So they're, I know a lot of bookkeepers and accountants are going to value pricing. So it's going to be, $500 a month, the first of the month, in perpetuity until maybe next year you change the pricing or something like that. But that's a more simple kind of payment structure. But once in a while you want to do variable work for maybe tax season. You're doing a little bit of hourly work on top of that. It'd be nice to run a pre-authorized debit through there instead of taking a credit card. Well, an open authorization agreement allows you to do that. Usually it's tied with an external notice. So like whether that's an invoice that you send them, or you've maybe spoken to them verbally, or you have a contract or something else that's kind of like defining those payment terms. This is always going to be in relationship with the customer. This isn't for like point of sale and like retail and stuff like that, where it's just one-off purchases. This is when you have an ongoing relationship with the customer who you're doing work for, and you just charge it to their bank account. So what the value of that is that it gives you control of the payments so that you're not waiting on them to send you either that check or that e-transfer or whatever it is, that always causes delays. You can set the due date that the money comes out of their account, and then that money is going to be coming to you. So that's kind of the value that Rotessa provides. So one of the ways we've created recently to get authorizations really easily is something we've called autopay. And essentially the idea is that once you add a customer, so Tanya, for example, you can actually just, from this little ellipsis on the side, send an autopay invite directly to Tanya. So that's going to send an email off to her asking her to basically authorize for bank payments. So I might actually just edit Tanya here and send it to myself just so I can show you guys what that workflow looks like.
Okay, then while you're doing that, just to mention as well to the agreement, the PAD agreement that I have that is with the CPA that I'm going to be sharing the link to, that is, even though I'm on value pricing, I don't want to get a new PAD agreement every year when I change their price. So that's already worded as such. So you guys don't have to worry about changing any wording. It basically references the invoice. So yeah. So it'll have the same effect as this one, depending on which you choose to use.
Yeah. So essentially what this lets you do is customize an email that you're going to send to her, so you can do a little bit of explanation. Hey, Tanya, I'm from Purple Sky Accounting here. I want to set you up. And it'll attach a little link for her. So I'm going to send that email off. And then in my email, I will get, I'm going to bring my Gmail over here, so don't look in my inbox. Okay. So there's, here's the email that she would receive, and she can click here to authorize her payment. So she'll click that link. It'll bring it to a secure form actually hosted on Rotessa, where she can then enter her bank details. So Tanya can type that in, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm just going to put some fake stuff in here. And then she can agree to the terms and conditions and then hit authorize. And it's really just that simple. She'll get sent a copy of the terms and conditions to her email. And then I, as the business, will also get a little notification from Rotessa telling me that she signed up. But then back in Rotessa now, if I refresh the page, you can see that her status is actually updated automatically to complete, and that autopay is now on, which means that I know for Tanya that she has that open authorization agreement, versus maybe if you brought in an agreement some other way, it would just say complete, and maybe that one's like more limited for whatever reason. Those are kind of the differentiating factors, just to remind you really quickly on a visual level that I can do variable, I can do fixed with Tanya moving forward. So I'm just going to add some bank information for one of these QBO customers here, just so we can test the next step, which is actually doing transactions here. Perfect. So I'll go through, was there any questions on any authorizations before I go into transactions? I'll just take a little pause here.
No, we've just got, okay, so there are two questions. So Carol information, because she missed the beginning of the webinar. So that's just when you add them as a customer, click on them, open the customer, and it's right there. And then we've got somebody else that can't fill in the banking information for a client before they send off for approval for auto pay. Is this a bug, or is it meant to be that way? So auto pay is new, but Cody, if I'm correct, auto pay is meant for the client to enter the bank information. Is that right?
Yeah, really and truly, it's them giving you that agreement, and part of that is them giving up their bank information to you and kind of authorizing legally that you're allowed to use that information. So yeah, it's really them who should be inputting that for you. If you have their void check on hand, that's really handy, because then you can double check that they didn't make a typo or something like that. So you can check that after the fact once they've completed the form.
Right. So, yeah. So then if you're using an existing PAD agreement, or the non-auto pay PAD agreement, then that's when you just don't use auto pay. Open to create a customer or go in to edit the customer, and that's when you can edit that information.
Yeah.
So there's another question here from Kathy. Using auto pay, can you customize the invitation to the client?
Yeah. So the invitation email. Let's see here. should load. My internet might be just slow right now. Of course, it won't work. Okay, let's see.
This is what happens when you do things live, right?
There we go. Yeah, of course. So yeah, there's a custom email template here, and that's what showed up right here. Is whatever you type in will show up in this email for them. There is a way now to set a default for that in the settings of your account. So that's a recent thing, and we're going to be making some more updates just to make changing those settings a little bit more user friendly, as well as there is a way to adjust the terms of the auto pay agreement as well. That's also in your account settings.
Yeah, and then just to point out, because I have to say, one of the things I love about this part of, I guess one of the things I look for in a software company that I really want to use and, you know, help promote is that type of feedback. And what was it, 2 weeks ago when we first talked about this, 3 weeks ago, that customization wasn't there, and now it is. So it just goes to show that they listen to the users and they react. And so I love that. So yeah, and so Canvas said, can I customize the email, save as a new template? So yes, we've just answered that you can now do that. And then after connecting QBO to Rotessa, can you merge clients if they were already set up before the connection?
That's a great question. I should.
That one I don't know the answer to. That's on you.
Yeah. So it's not really a merge per se, but I can explain the logic to you. So so what they're talking about here is maybe you actually have green lawn care in QuickBooks Online, but you also added them beforehand manually, and you already have their authorization, whether it was through AutoPay or some other way. You have them set up, and then maybe you're going to start using the integration now. What's going to happen is that when you open up the ability to import a customer, that customer might already show that it's connected if you've kind of lucked out here, or it might show like a second customer and you might end up bringing in a duplicate. So what's going on really is that on a customer level, I'll show you when you edit a customer, there's a custom identifier. And actually, coincidentally, this is the customer I pre-set up to show an example of that. So in QuickBooks or with my CSV, I think is where I actually brought this guy in. Your system might have a different identifier for a customer, whether you're using like a CRM that spits that out or whether you just have that in there for QuickBooks reasons. What that matches in QuickBooks is actually the display name of a customer. So I actually have my QuickBooks, let's see here. Oh, of course. You guys all know where the display name of a customer is. So I'll just log in quickly and show you an example of that. Okay, edit. So this name right here is actually the unique identifier in QuickBooks. And so that's what Rotessa matches to. So as long as this display name matches the custom identifier in Rotessa, that's actually what establishes the link. So if Green Lawn Care is in your Rotessa or in your QuickBooks as Green Lawn Care period, that's going to be a little bit of a difference. So what you could do is go to, I could actually link this to this happy customer. So if I copy Happy Daycare here and then go here, I could actually link it to Happy Daycare, even though the name up here is going to be Green Lawn Care. That name is just the display name for Rotessa's purposes, but it's actually going to be linked to that customer. So now if I save that, and I think I have an invoice for this person. Yeah, so I have an invoice here. We're kind of getting a little bit ahead because the point of this is to be able to bring in invoices. But if we actually go to the invoices step now, that Happy Daycare invoice will show up here. And if I import it, it'll actually import for Green Lawn Care. So if we look here, you can see Green Lawn Care now has one scheduled transaction. And if we go in, that QuickBooks invoice is set up for them. So what you can then do is either archive that duplicate customer you have, or now that you've established the sync before you did the import, you don't have to worry about it. So I hope that answers that question. If you want, I can talk to you one-on-one afterwards and help you go through this as well. But just remember that the display name in QuickBooks Online needs to match the custom identifier in Rotessa. So I guess that brings us to scheduling transactions, which is kind of the whole point. So I'll start from kind of manually doing it through Rotessa. So this is for people like Tanya who don't actually even use the QuickBooks Online integration. And so this is really simple. Once you have the QuickBooks, or sorry, the Rotessa customer, you can just come in and hit new transactions. So you can set up the amount, you can set up the processing date. So maybe you want it for the 1st of the month. Then you can set the frequency. So this is what Tanya does, is she actually just sets her frequency to monthly. And then I'm pretty sure you leave that blank, right, Tanya? Yeah. And so when you leave that blank, it just goes on indefinitely until you cancel the payment with that customer. So it's super simple. If you want to set terms for that, obviously you can. It would just be monthly for 12 installments. Once those installments go through, Rotessa will stop that payment.
Exactly. So if I can just, what I would recommend to make things easier on your software side, regardless of what software you're using, if you do that and you set up your invoices to go out as sales receipts, you then don't have to go back in and receive the money. You just basically have to match it. And that's essentially what I do, because again, when I started this process, the integration was a manual. You had to go and manually integrate, and I didn't want to have to remember to hit the manual button every month. The less I have to do manually, the better. So that's exactly it. My agreements with my clients are, here's your price. This will remain your price until we both agree otherwise. So I do go back and revisit the price every year. But if something happens, COVID, taxes, you know, whatever, something falls through the cracks, which has happened, which is why I changed that process, I then don't have to worry about remembering to go back and be like, oh, I've only got, 30 days to contact this person. Stuff fell through the cracks. Otherwise, there's no more agreement. Because then legally you can't take that money out. So the agreement says, here's your price. It will remain the same until we both agree otherwise for a new contract. I then go in, do indefinitely here, and I schedule indefinite sales receipts. Then that way it also creates less work when I go in and renegotiate their contract, send them the new contract for them to sign. All I then have to do is go in and edit this amount and edit the amount on the sales receipt, because they're all set to be indefinitely. So that makes it a little bit easier. So yeah, and then the only reason I'm not using the integration right now is because, correct me if I'm wrong, but currently it still is a manual, correct?
Yeah, and I'll show you guys that next.
Yeah, and that's I only have one client who's variable, and so then I go in and when I issue their bills on the 30th, because they're I issue their their invoice on the 30th, do payable due on the 15th, and then I go into Rotessa and do that. So I could use that integration link to link that one person, but it will only link with invoices, not sales receipts. So like I say, doing it the other way, I just get to be hands-on. So
yeah, totally. Yeah, and so so with the Tanya was saying she can just edit the amount. Now that this schedule is in place, it'll continue to go indefinitely. This number of installments will continue to go up as it continues on. But she can just go in maybe on January 1st or whatever and just up this amount to 200, save that transaction schedule, and then it'll continue tracking for the next year. That's really all she has to do. And so the nice thing about this, now that this is set up, Rotessa will automatically schedule the payment on July 1st, and then you don't have to worry about it. So here, maybe I'll just talk a little bit about scheduling and timelines, just for timing purposes. So what Rotessa does is we send a batch to the bank at 11 a.m. Central and one at 4 p.m. Central. And so the 11 a.m. batch is for transactions to be actually processed out of your customers' accounts today. And when I say batch, that basically means we take all of the transactions that we have scheduled in our system, we submit them through the banking network to be processed. So if you are doing last minute adjustments, say for today, you've actually missed the 11 a.m. cutoff time. So now if I schedule a transaction for today. Let's see. Okay, so I'm going to schedule one for $200 for, I'll make it different actually, $250 for June 3rd, just a frequency of 1. I'll create that transaction. So it'll tell you that it's going to actually be processed on the next business day. And the reason for that is it's going to get rounded up in our 4 p.m. batch and then processed from the customer's account first thing tomorrow morning. So if you have recurring schedules like this one up here, you don't really have to worry about those timelines because you've set that up way in advance. Rotessa will make sure it comes out on the right day. It's really only if you're doing last minute stuff. The other thing about that is just the timing on when you get your settlements. So I'll just use this little calendar here to demonstrate. If you run a transaction on, let's say, June 8th, and it processes from your customer's account that day, you'll get your settlement on Friday. So it's 4 business days after the processing date. If you miss that cutoff time and it got scheduled at 4 p.m. for Tuesday becomes the new processing date for when that actual timeline starts. And so then you'll actually get your settlement on Monday because it's 4 business days after that processing date. So that's just something to keep in mind when you're trying to, calculate your cash flow and stuff like that. If you have it all set up properly, yeah, go ahead, Tanya.
Just confirmation that the 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. that's actually Central Time, isn't it? That's your time?
Central Time, yeah. Manitoba time. Yeah.
Okay, so that's perfect. And then the other thing I wanted to mention, and I did answer this in the chat because somebody had actually asked about the time delay. That is as per the Canada Payment Association guidelines. That time.
Yeah. So the kind of main reason for that is because we don't actually get the declines back from the bank instantly. So a pre-authorized debit isn't an instant verification on the bank. So it essentially puts a request on somebody's bank account saying, we want $500. And then it has to wait to hear back whether or not that $500 is actually there. Sometimes that delay can be up to 3 days before we actually hear back from the bank that, oh, they didn't have that $500. So it's going to go NSF, right? So that's where you see declines happening. And that's why we hold the funds, is so that we are pretty sure that all declines have come through, and then we actually deposit the funds on the next business day. So for example, on the 8th, we would see declines this day, and this day, and then we put the money in your account on this day. So it's just to make sure that we're not actually settling money to you that you don't actually have, because then we'd have to do a chargeback because we'd have to put those funds back to the bank. So that's kind of the reasoning for that. And that's just the nature of payments. Yeah,
and it's standard with anybody else. If you look up the same processing delay, so there's no difference with that. Unless unless somebody basically instantaneously transfers the money into Pluto to pay you. But that most people don't do that. So yeah, this is normal with all PAD agreements. There's just one other question here we may already be answering. If a customer has multiple invoices in a month and you click the import button, would it import all of them that are currently in QBO, or would it just import just one of them? I would think, or QBO or Xero, whichever you're integrated with. I would think it would integrate all of them that are there to read within the 30-day period or something, wouldn't it? Or
I'll show you that right away here. So
okay, awesome.
So now that we've done one with kind of a manual customer, I'll do one with the QuickBooks customers. So there's 2 ways to get there. You can either just hit this quick link, import invoices from QuickBooks Online, or you can go back through the admin tab, hit integrations, and then it takes you to sort of this integrations landing page here, where you either have the customers option or the import invoices option. This is also the payment account where we'll put the settlements. Most people put that to undeposited funds, and then you can just match your bank feed. So if we import the invoices, what's going to happen here is Rotessa looks into QuickBooks and brings in any invoices that are available as an option for you to bring in. So it doesn't bring them in automatically. It's basically asking you if you want to. So you can see we have a couple different things going on here. We have a couple that are ready to create in Rotessa. So those ones are basically pending in QuickBooks. We have these 2 that are actually already scheduled in Rotessa. So I've actually already brought those ones in. And then there's this one for Bill's Construction. It's not letting me bring that in for that customer because I actually don't have an authorization, or I don't have bank information for him entered. So that's a really easy way to avoid bringing in invoices for customers you don't want to bring in. Rotessa won't even let you do that, so you don't have to worry about that. But these other customers here, we have in Rotessa already, we have authorized. So we can actually either select just one for just that customer and hit import, and it would only bring in that one. Or we can actually select all of them, or we can select, you know, whichever ones we want. So obviously you might have invoices for customers that some months maybe you just don't want to bring in to schedule in Rotessa. That's totally fine. Just don't select that invoice. Don't bring it into Rotessa. So if I select import now, it'll bring those three in.
So quick question on this while it's bringing those in.
Yeah.
I've got one client who actually enters her invoices a year in advance. They're slightly different each month, so we can't just schedule them to automatically recur. So let's say I had that client set up on here. Could she at that point then, like, would it pull everything that's in there regardless like of the future date that we can have them all come in?
So it works on the due date of the invoice. Yeah, so the processing date is going to be the due date, and that can look basically as far forward as you want. So we do have some customers who basically set up 10 invoices post-dated for the first of every month, and they would just bring them all in here. So the first one would be, you know, $20 for June 13th. The next one would be $20 for July 13th, and you'd actually see all those invoices stacked up in here. And Rotessa would just run them one at a time as each month comes. So that's another way to get around it. If you just want to do all the work up front, you can schedule those invoices, bring them all in, and then Rotessa will just run them all as one-time transactions. So that's another way to do it. Or if you have like recurring invoices, essentially each month QuickBooks will populate that new invoice for that month based on the recurring invoice schedule. So then they'll show up in Rotessa that day. You can then come in, import them, and then you have them all in for, you know, your 50 customers or whatever. The thing to keep in mind though that Tanya brought up earlier is these are all one-time transactions right now. They're not setting up recurring schedules. So it's one invoice to one transaction. And the value of that is that when this payment actually goes through, because it's linked to the QuickBooks Online invoice, when you get your settlement from Rotessa and that payment has been approved, it'll actually mark the invoice as paid automatically as soon as you get that settlement. So on that Monday processing date, you'll wait a couple of days. Then on Friday, you'll get that settlement from Rotessa. When you go into QuickBooks that day, you'll see a marked paid invoice, and you'll also see a deposit in your bank feed. And so at that point, you can really just match your undeposited funds, because that's where it's getting paid to, is your undeposited funds. You can just match that to your bank feed, and you're away to the races. So I'll show you the settlements report tab now. What it does is we deposit one lump sum into your account for all transactions for a processing day, but then in the settlement report, you actually get the breakdown of what those payments were. So my demo account always has decline payments because I use fake bank information all the time. So hopefully your settlement reports look more beautiful than this, but you can get the idea that you would see the different payment amounts of each customer, and then you'd see a total at the top. And so if that total was approved, that and then for declines, which inevitably will come, those also show up at the settlement reports. And there's always a decline reason. So because my account information is incorrect for these customers, because it's fake, that's the decline I always get here. You'd also see insufficient funds, which is like NSF. You might see stop payments, which is when they, you know, similar to a check, they know that that money is coming out on a certain day. So they've actually asked their bank to block that payment from going through. So those are things you will see. We have some help guides on what to do with different declines. Rotessa doesn't deal with declines for you. You have to deal with those yourselves, just because there's so many different ways to deal with them. People might not want to pay it again through a PAD. Maybe they want to pay you through an e-transfer to make it up because, you know, they're going through a hard financial time or whatever it is. We just advise that you communicate with your customer and figure out the best way to deal with your declines.
Yeah, so just to throw in how I deal with the declines, there is an NSF fee, $25.
It's $29.
$29, okay.
Yeah.
I charge my clients $55 because now I have to go in and change things, and I want to make this a deterrent for them to not do it. $55 will make them think twice, whereas $29 might make them think once. So what I do is I simply then just go in, cancel the sales receipt or void the sales receipt, add the NSF fee, and then they have to pay that in another way. Absolutely. So it's re-invoiced out to them with the NSF fee included. So, and I've had 3, I think, and they've all paid. And so there's no issues with that. So it's still easy to deal with. So
Yeah.
question on you before we move on from the settlement. So we do get an email when there's been a settlement to the account. Are you guys looking at, and if not, this is great feedback, to add to that settlement email, actually the settlement report? Because I then have to go and log in and pull the settlement report just to make sure. I mean, and I know you guys usually send an extra email if somebody's been declined, but I then have to go in and log in and look at the settlement report just to make sure. So it would be just easier if it came through as a PDF or an Excel that I could just open in the email.
Yeah, we definitely have it on our list to review some of our different reporting emails, notifications, and things like that. As it stands right now, like Tanya said, you would have to go and look at the report. The one thing we do is we tell you every time you have a decline. We don't necessarily tell you every time you have an approved payment. It's kind of like no news is good news kind of thing. So if you do have declines, you don't have to keep checking your Rotessa account every day. We will notify you of that. So really and truly, for most people, that's the most important thing, because if money's coming in and it's all good, you really don't have to check it. And you're probably going to see that on your bank feed anyways. But it's really when declines happen that you want to check on that. And so we send you a decline email, and then you can go in and find that customer and figure out why it was declined. The reason we drive you to Rotessa is because more often than not, you're going to deal with the resubmission of the payment in Rotessa anyways. So you are going to probably want to come back to Rotessa to figure out, when can I reschedule this payment? So, but yeah, it's definitely something to think about, maybe like a PDF or something like that, or some other generated report, but we'll have to put that on the list for the development team to talk about.
Okay, then somebody is also just confirming, so the NSF fee charge dollars, that is NSF's only. So if it's a wrong bank account, there's not. What about a stop payment? If it's stop payment, is there?
Yeah, so there's 3 declines we charge for: NSF, stop payment, and not according to agreement. The first 2. The third one is pretty rare, especially for accountants and bookkeepers. But this is when somebody actually has had money taken out of their account, and they go to their bank after the fact and they say to their bank, that wasn't according to an agreement I have. I don't know where that money is coming from. Under Payments Canada rules, they have 90 days to dispute those kind of payments, which is really good for your customers. I think it's a good rule, but sometimes people try to abuse this and reverse payments back. And so the bank is obligated to reverse it. They send that decline to us, and we try to because you can prove, no, look, we do have an authorization. You signed this on this date, and then you might have to deal with it some way with that customer. But for most people, like especially in your industry where people have an ongoing relationship with the customer, these declines don't show up too often. We see it more like in fitness and stuff, where people get to June and they realize the gym really wasn't for them. And so they're trying to get out of that year-long contract that they had by any means necessary. So they're trying to do whatever they can to try and get their payments back. And it's just kind of like more shady kind of things. So it's more like the B2C relationship. We see that rather than the B2B relationship most of the time. I wanted to show one other way to import transactions, just for people who might not use QuickBooks Online or Xero, or you don't want to go to the manual effort of scheduling transactions for hundreds of people, or for daycares who have a system that often spits out the billing anyways in some sort of CSV format. We have like rental facilities that do this, property management, lots of stuff like that. So again, it's through CSVs. So back into the imports and exports, you can go import CSV, And instead of customers, now you can do transactions, and you just download the customer sample or the transaction sample template. And I've actually formatted one again. So the columns here are ID, amount, date, and comment, which is always optional. The ID is that custom identifier. And so in most cases, that's probably just the name. But in the case like George, where we changed, I think it was George, where we changed it to, before it was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But then we changed it actually to like happy daycare or whatever. The ID might be different. And so because Rotessa uses that as the primary field, that's the field we need here. So you can format this out with different dates. And again, put these as far in the future as you want. So we just had one school who they bill quarterly. And so they know exactly what it's going to be for the next 2 years. So they just made one big CSV where they put 4 payments for every single customer, or 8 payments for every single customer for 2 years quarterly. And then they just loaded that up and scheduled their payments. So if we go file, we'll download this as a CSV. Go back to Rotessa. Very similar process to the customer import. You can load it up. And you can see, okay, so this guy, we had changed his custom identifier around, so that's not going to work. This one was the one with the one we didn't upload in the first place. So these two actually are going to work. So I'm going to bring those 2 in. I could either select all if you had like 1,000 payments or something, and then just import those transactions. So now back in the customer list here, you can see that Phil's Fitness and Radical Records now both have one scheduled transaction there. And if we click on it, you can see the comment was fees, which is the same as what was in the CSV. So that's another way for people to do a lot of stuff in bulk. Just makes Rotessa a little bit more accessible for people who maybe don't have like an integration play. The last thing I'll show too is maybe not the last thing, but another important thing to show is the transaction report. And I really encourage everyone to use this after you've scheduled a lot of transactions. Just quickly do a double check. So you can move these dates around. If you want to look at, June, the month of June, we could run a report for the whole month, and it would show us all future transactions we have set up. If I wanted to run for a very specific date, I could run it on, June 13th, run a search, and it would show me that I have these 3. So I would always recommend this just to make sure you haven't made duplicates, and that there isn't, something you're missing. This should always match, what you have in your receivables, whether that's in QuickBooks Online, whether you're doing the import there, or whether that's a CSV or manual. I just always recommend it, just because then what you have scheduled is scheduled, and you haven't made any mistakes. And you can also run those reports in reverse. So if you wanted to capture a month window or a full year window, you can export those for reporting purposes, that like year end and that kind of thing too. Was there any questions on any of that section, Tanya?
Nope, not yet. Nope. But just the one thing that I'd like to say is how I set it up is because when I first changed over to the PAD agreements, again, I was like, okay, how do I deal with this, the 5 days? And it took a little bit of planning. So what I did is, just like everybody gets paid, twice a month or bi-weekly, generally for a pay, this is what I do. So I offer my clients a little bit of choice. I used to offer them credit card or Rotessa. These fees are much lower than credit card fees. So, but I know Cody will get into that in a minute. But so now what I do is I offer them it's PAD for their bank account only, because of course they don't change their bank account as often as people change credit cards, especially with credit cards being compromised these days. So another thing to think about. However, so I set it up as the 1st and the 15th. So I give clients the choice. Would you like the money on the 1st and the 15th? Now I can plan when I'm getting paid and when I can get paid my bills. I'll say I probably have more on the 15th than I do on the 1st, but it gives the client some option. It has money coming in. And then for those of us who have a business bank account who are being charged even for deposits, it now pays 2 days a month.
Yeah, and so something about our fees is that you're not getting charged based on, how many days you're processing on. It's only transaction volume. So that really opens up the doors for you to really have customizable transactions. So Tanya does it 1st and 15th, partly because it's easier for her.
Well,
But
and like I say, the bank charges, you're right. You guys don't
right.
charge, but the bank charges for the deposits. So.
Yeah, so we have lots of customers who, you know, their customers want flexibility. Maybe the 12th is the best day for them. Maybe the 23rd is the best day for them. So we have people who have payments going out nearly every day. And if it's one payment or 100 payments, it doesn't affect your price. Your price is based on monthly transaction volume, no matter how many days you use of the calendar month. If you're doing it on, say, like the 6th recurring, eventually any day is essentially going to land on a holiday or weekend eventually. What Rotessa does is they just push that payment to the next available business day. So if it's recurring on the 6th, it'll come out of the customer's account on the 8th. So that's also something just to keep in mind. I'll quickly go to our pricing page here just to show you guys. You can always access it, rotessa.com/pricing. We work on different volume tiers. So the first tier is 1 to 10 transactions a month for $14. There's no startup fee, there's no cancellation fee, so you can set up an account. If you don't use it, you don't pay. So if you set up an account today after the webinar, but then you didn't use it till September, you wouldn't actually get charged until the end of September. So you charge your one payment September 1st, or your 10 payments, your price is going to be the same. As soon as you go to that 11th payment, you go to the next payment tier, and that gives you all the way to 50 transactions for the same price. And the same with all our tiers. They kind of just scale up, and they give you one price for any amount of transactions within that tier. And then, like we talked about earlier, we charge for NSF, stop payment not according to agreement declines. We add that to your bill at the end of the month, but obviously you've probably passed those fees along to your customers. So the way we do it is at the end of the month, we calculate how many transactions you did. That's what you owe. And then we actually send you a zero invoice using our own integration. And then we take the money on the due date of that invoice. So you'll get a zero invoice from Rotessa. It says, here's what you owe this month. Here's your declines, blah, blah, blah. You don't have to pay this because it's going to get paid automatically. So we actually enter into a PAD agreement with you guys when you use Rotessa. If you have tons of volume, or maybe you have a client who has tons of volume that you're thinking of whether Rotessa is a fit for or not, over 250, it's just 30 cents per transaction. There's no other rate. So that $79 fee goes away, and it's just strictly 30 cents times 252 or 253, whatever it is. After 1,000 transactions a month, we go into custom pricing for people depending on their situation. So that's a kind of separate conversation. But any questions about the pricing? I think it's pretty straightforward. But
so just to confirm, and nobody's asked this question, but I know the answer. I just want to make sure that everybody else, there's no confusion on it. So the transaction, so if you've got, let's say you've got one client who's got a large bill, and it works better for them to pay weekly. So it's coming out 4 times a week. It's that monthly transaction is now not one customer, it is 4 transactions.
Yeah, that's right.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, and then what about an accountant plan?
Yeah, for sure. So we have a partnership program for accountants and bookkeepers. So if you use Rotessa, you want to sign up, I would encourage you to do that. You would get a 30% off discount on your processing fees. This is the section to sign up for the program and talks about it. This is the actual directory. And this is where we house all of our current partners. They all get a listing with their logo and their company name. If my internet was faster, you'd see all these logos beautifully popping up. There we go, there's some of them. So you can click the Learn More section and read about their firm. You guys get to write this, so sell your firm however you want. And then there's a link to your website here as well. So you get a listing here, and then you would also get a Rotessa partner badge to put on your website. And you get a discount code for 30% that you can also give to whether it's your clients or friends or family or cousins or whoever you want to tell about Rotessa. Give them that discount code. If they sign up an account, they can put that in and get 30% off their processing fees as well. And that's just strictly on the processing fees, not on the NSFs, because you're going to pass that along to your customer anyways. So yeah, and then basically the idea for us is that we want to get feedback from people who use Rotessa the most. And in our experience, it's been that accountants and bookkeepers are the ones who use Rotessa the most, whether they're running their own account in Rotessa or whether they run like a full managed services. And so they're actually running their clients' Rotessa accounts as well. we want that feedback. And so Tanya's been a great help for this. We often launch features and just ask, hey, what can we do better? How can we change? And autopay is a perfect example of that. We're making changes based on her recommendations. And I think we talked with Sherry Lee as well. We've talked to a bunch of other people about autopay. And so, yeah, we want to be in communication and just try to make Rotessa as user-friendly as possible. And so we love hearing that feedback and seeing what we can do better. So that's kind of the part of being part of the program as well. And then usually for content, we reach out to you guys first. So we have a video series going on called In the Clouds, and that's talking all about cloud bookkeeping and accounting, the whole world of that. So we kind of explore that kind of a documentary style. So we might ask a partner to be a spokesperson on one of those episodes. We also have co-branded, blog opportunities, that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's kind of the partnership program in the nutshell, and you get to deal with me all the time. So that's a bonus, or I'll let you decide if that's a bonus or not. But yeah, I'll be your contact for the partnership program.
I consider it a bonus. So there you go.
Thanks, Tanya.
All right. Okay, so a couple of things that you hadn't brought up that I kind of know that, like, because I was talking to Sherry last night, was surprise, we talk almost every day. And so she had some questions, and then questions are coming up here. So first off, I know we discussed on Beyond the Cloud that you actually do have your same services in the US as well.
We do,
so
yeah.
Is the US pricing just that would be US dollars and ours is Canadian dollars? Or?
Exactly, yeah. So because we're a Canadian company, and the way pre-authorized debits work is we would pull those funds in Canadian if you're a Canadian customer, and we'd pull those funds in American if you're an American customer. So the pricing amount doesn't change, just the conversion rate is a little sweeter when we have American customers because we are located in Canada. But yeah, it's $14 American or $14 Canadian.
Perfect.
Either way, yeah.
Okay, so then the next question that I know I think that you and Sherry spoke on the other day, or she emailed you on, was with regards to a dashboard. So if you've got for your clients and you're helping to run the AR for your clients, is there a dashboard, or are we simply added as a user? How does that work?
Yeah, so at this time there isn't really a dashboard for that. I was actually talking to Paul Burns. I don't know if you know Paul Burns, but I was talking to him the other day, and he was definitely advocating for the dashboard too. So it's something we're thinking about. We have a few other updates coming before that will be a reality, but I think we'll definitely put it in the ideas area. But right now, what you would do is get your client to sign up for a Rotessa account. Well, there's two ways to do it. They can either sign up for the Rotessa account themselves and just add you as a user. So they go into their user section and then just add you as, whoops, sorry. There we go. Okay. So as a user, the admin is the user they would have, but most bookkeepers accounts get added as a create edit user. That kind of just gives you the permission to do everything except change the actual account settings of that business. So their bank information, that kind of thing. So what some people have done, I know Paul did this, is he actually set the account up for his clients, put in all of their information, business information, bank information. But the one piece we do need from that business is actually the KYC part. So then he actually adds them as a user. They come in, they complete that one last step of the account setup to actually do the identification on themselves as the business owner. And then once that piece is done, he runs the whole Rotessa account for them, and they don't really have to do anything after that. So that's kind of how he does it, just to make it a little bit more frictionless for them. But if you have tech savvy people, it's not super hard to set up a Rotessa account, so they can just set it up as you as a user, and then you can manage it all for them.
Okay, perfect. And another question, so is Rotessa only for accounts receivable? Do you also do payable, or is it in the works? Because I know the answer to that.
Yeah, so we are just accounts receivable. We don't do payables. It's not completely off the table at this time, but it's not something that's on our immediate roadmap. We're just really trying to get good at collecting money for people. And yeah, that's kind of our mission right now, is just to make that as easy as possible. So any kind of updates and changes right now are really kind of focused in just making that more user friendly. So that's kind of the reason for these integrations and stuff like that, is just to make the workflow process of collecting payments as simple as possible.
Okay, perfect. And just kind of something just to point out that just popped in my head too. So for those of us that are in Canada and have clients that are using the CEBA loans, if you have, so if the client then who's got the CEBA loan, or sorry, if the client who's got the CEBA loan has your services on a PAD agreement, that now makes it qualifying for a non-deferrable operating expense. So they can use that towards their CEBA loan. It technically, if they write a check or they pick the day they pay you by email money transfer, writing a check, paying by credit card, it is now deferrable, so it doesn't qualify for that. So that just kind of might help if you're trying to look at more clients to get them, to go on here. It'll make it easy. They don't have to remember. Good fences make good neighbors. Good payment plans make good, customer relationships. And again, it helps for the CEBA loan. So I've had other bookkeepers that I know have used that with clients to be able to get them easily. And that's something to think about, food for thought. And then the other question here is they're just in here is anonymous. So we'll just call them anonymous. So anonymous has been using Rotessa for quite a while and they forgot whether they signed up for the partner program. How can they tell?
Yeah, you can either go look if you have a directory on our partner directory, or you can email me and I'd love to talk to you and we can maybe set up a call.
Say another way that I know is because of the price. I know I pay $29 instead of the 34 because I'm at like 49 or 50 a month.
Yeah, so actually one thing for existing users they'll notice, so we actually rolled out the announcement of our price increase a few months ago. So this is actually kind of a higher price than what everyone's paying currently. But then COVID hit, and so instead of changing our price, we've actually held the old price grandfathered in for all of our customers right now.
So that's not the way to tell.
Yeah, so that's not a very good way to tell. So when this fall, we will be increasing our price to the advertised price here, but right now you're getting a little bit of a break. So the only thing was the first tier used to be only 1 to 5 transactions. We've increased it to 1 to 10. So that was 1 to 5 for $9. Now you have just a little bit more runway on this bottom tier. And then they've only gone up by a little bit. It was $29 before. So if you're in this tier, you'd see 30% off of $29, or in the future, you'll see 30% off $34. So anyways, that 30%, the reason it's percentages, it'll scale with you when your price changes over time. So we don't change our prices a lot. I think this is the first price increase probably since Tanya started using Rotessa. So yeah, we try to keep it as low as possible, but our fees went up from our side. So, our costs, I guess, went up. So we've had to increase our prices.
Yeah, and then, that's it for the questions so far. So if anybody has any other questions, pop them in. Of course, I've had a few people ask for your email address. So I've typed it in the chat, but it's just Cody@rotessa.com. So CODY, you can see his name spelled there, at rotessa.com. I will make sure that goes out as well with the recording, which the recording will go out by tomorrow evening, I think. I have it set for 2 days, so it'll go out anytime, within, I guess, anytime after, 2 o'clock tomorrow or 1 o'clock tomorrow to, noon the next day.
Awesome. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and if anyone has like follow-up questions or you want to do a demo, I'd be happy to jump on a call with you. We can go through this one-on-one. Everyone's workflow is different, so obviously there's, Tanya does it one way, our daycares do it another way. Like everyone has a different workflow. So there's probably some things I maybe haven't touched on. This is kind of the bulk of it, but yeah, if there's something that you're like, I wonder if this would work for me, but I'm not quite sure, don't hesitate to reach out. I'd love to talk to you and we can figure something out.
Okay, so Deb's got a question on the partner program. Is there a max of the number of clients you bring on board for that 30%?
Nope. Send it out into the world. You can invite as many people as you want.
Perfect. And no minimum either?
Nope. No.
Perfect.
Oh, something I will talk about is transaction minimums or maximums. So there is no minimum on a transaction. You can do as low as $1, probably in the sense, but I don't know why do that. The initial cap for most accounts is $2,500 per customer per day. So how that works is you could take $2,500 from each of your customers on any given day. The next day, that limit would reset. So whether that's one payment for a total of $2,500 for Phil, or if that's two payments that add up to $2,500, that's your cap. As soon as it goes over that, then you'll get an error that says you can't do that. We are open to increasing that limit over time, especially as we build trust and processing history with our clients, and especially our partners. So if that limit is going to limit your business, then feel free to reach out and we can talk about that one-on-one. Most of the businesses that use Rotessa just don't need a higher limit than that. And so just to reduce fraud risk for everyone involved, we just put that in place. But we do have flexibility. So definitely reach out if that's being a problem for you.
And another workaround in the meantime, because there was another bookkeeper who, again, she posted in one of the groups the same thing. It was like $5,000 a month or $4,000 a month. And I said, so have them pay biweekly.
Yep. Change
Break
up your
it down.
payment
Instead
cycle.
of paying monthly, pay $2,000 a month, $2,000 biweekly. So it works a little bit easier in cash flow for the client. You've got, your money coming in. And there's lots that can be done. They get time.
Yeah, especially if you're the low end of a transaction tier and you have quite a bit of runway at that same pricing, like why not just set up another transaction? It's not going to change your price either way. So, if you're doing 20 transactions monthly, do them every 2 weeks, and then you're at 40 transactions, but you're not paying any difference. So that's just something to think about as well.
Okay. And then just something that I just thought about that, again, somebody else might have on here if they're, on partner agreements or whatnot. So the 30% of the partner plan, is that only effective under the new prices? Because like just mine, for example, I still have $29 a month, which you're right is the old price. And I just assumed, oh, that was the discount. Well, when I actually work at the discount, 30% off of the 34 is $23.80. So is that when the discount will kick in for me, is when the new prices kick in? Or
it should be on for you. So maybe we just need to talk to billing about what's going on.
Okay, so I was gonna say, I know like we saw me on the page, I'm on the partner directory, and I know you emailed me literally, I think the day the plan came out, you're like, okay,
Yeah.
Tanya, here we go.
No, that might just be a weird discrepancy with your invoice or something like
Okay.
that. Or if you had an NSF, it could have bumped up your fee.
No, it's $29 every month.
Interesting. Yeah, we'll definitely look at that.
Awesome. I'll send you an email so that you don't forget.
For sure.
I'm sure you won't forget anyway, but hey, it's COVID. I know right now if it's not in front of me, I forget. So 5 minutes later, it's gone. Okay, well, there's been no other questions, and I kind of think that that's everything because I know I had a few things that I'm, kind of keeping track on as you went through. So if there is anything else, I'll include the PAD agreement, the link to that to download. Don't try to ask for access to it because that's access to the original. Save it to your sheets, then you can download it and use it. Anybody wants to reach out to me for any questions, go ahead. But yeah, Cody knows how I do it. Cody's, awesome with that. The next episode 2 of In the Clouds, I'm on it. So when that comes out, watch for it. I haven't seen it come out yet. I know it's coming out soon. And lots of great tips on working in the cloud, working from home. And they've got a great blog too that we shared out a couple of weeks ago as well. That myself, like Michelle Duford was the names, I can't remember who else the names were, but a lot of other partners that are, working from home, what do they suggest? So, I'll grab that and I'll send that link out as well with it too.
For sure. Yeah, and I think that's going to launch like June 15th or June 16th or something like that.
Is it?
The second episode.
Looking forward to it.
And
I haven't seen the cut yet.
Yeah, we'll maybe send you a preview before we launch it to get your
It's all good. It's all good. I know you guys will. I know it'll be fine.
Something too for QuickBooks and Xero users. There are more updates coming for the integration soon, so keep your ears tuned to the Rotessa Roundup. You'll see some announcements about that probably in the next month or two. We're really excited about it. So when it rolls out, we'd love to hear your feedback too. And if you're a partner, feel free to reach out. I'd love to chat. It would be good. And if you've been avoiding me, schedule a call. We'll meet up.
Sounds good. So we've just got, like, Retta says, thanks for all the great info. Kathy says, thanks. It's a great refresher on why she needs to complete her setup. She started it, has to complete it. And Lori says, thank you for the demo. She's used Pluto, but felt really stung by the price restructuring. And she hasn't arranged another provider to collect her receivables since then. And yeah, I like to say over 4 years. I couldn't even tell you how long. I just know it's been over 4 years. Rotessa was one of the first apps that I adopted when I moved to the cloud, other than QBO. I think it was QBO and probably Receipt Bank and Rotessa right behind. So, yeah.
Cool.
Awesome. And then Carol says, thank you so much. So thank you, everybody, for attending. Again, if I'll make sure to attach all that stuff in the emails to go out. It will be on our YouTube channel afterwards. I'll send that email to you guys, Cody, so you guys can send that out, do whatever you want with it.
Sure.
As well. Deb says thank you, so that's great. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks everyone for coming, and really appreciate it.
Awesome. And then you are going to be on again sometime within the next few months. I don't have a date, on the QBO Connector series with Jen Baldick. So watch for that as well. If there's anything that you wanted, that you wanted to see again, if you're still sitting on the fence, he'll be coming up shortly with Jen.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool.
Thank you so much, Cody, for your time today. I hope everybody has a great week, and we'll talk to you later.
Yeah, thanks so much, Tanya.
All right, thanks, Cody. Thanks, everybody, for your time. Take care.
Yeah, bye.